Hello and welcome back for another episode of this season of Try This on Wisp Sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kirstin Lauritzen, and we have a special episode for you today. I have a guest, the first guest ever on this Try This podcast. I'm so excited to introduce Danielle Etrasco to you today. She's actually been a guest on Wisp Sports on a different podcast called Sport in Focus, where she was talking about her career in lacrosse. So you can go back and you can find that if you just go to wispsports.com and search for Sport in Focus. Her episode will pop right up. And so you can listen to her talk about her career in lacrosse. But she also has just recently-ish switched over to triathlon. So that's why she's on this podcast today. I want to give you a little intro into who she is in her career. So she has quite a lot of wins and things that she has done in lacrosse. She was high school All-American in 2009. She was America East Player of the Year in 2011 and 12. She was All-Conference 11, 12, 13. All-American in 2012, 2013. Also a U.S. national team member for many years, 2011 to 2017. She was a World Cup gold medalist in 2013. And then also in a couple of other things. Let's see, professional first league and WPLL in 2018, 2019. I'm not really sure what that means, but that is awesome. And then in her professional career, she was a Division I college assistant coach for Virginia Tech. And then also, I thought this was really cool. She talked about this a little bit on the other podcast, Sport in Focus, but she helped start the lacrosse program for the female team at Army West Point, which is it was a really cool story to hear about what she was doing with the women there. And then she's currently a sales rep for BSN Sports as a Long Island territory rep. She also helps manage high school accounts through Nassau, some in New York City. And then she's also coaching for a club team. And that's who she played for. It was Liberty team, I think, who she played for in 2005 to 2008. So she's had quite a career and experience in sports. And she's just recently switched over to triathlon. And that's what we're going to talk with her about today. Danielle, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. That was a mouthful.
That was a mouthful, but I wanted to make sure that we highlighted all of the things that you have done because when I was listening to that podcast with you on Wisp Sports, it was really neat to hear your perspective on sports and how it had played into just your life and back vice versa. So yeah, I'm really excited to have you on today.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be here. I think I've looked you up a little bit, and I think what you're doing out in Oregon is awesome. And it's very cool that your background's in triathlon as well. So I feel like we have a lot to talk about.
Oh, we have tons to talk about. So you're still coaching lacrosse with the club team, is that correct?
Yes. So the Liberty Lacrosse is a club team on Long Island. Like I said, I played for them growing up. And so basically for lacrosse, if you want to get recruited in high school, you don't have to, but it very much helps to play for a club team. And we travel in the summer, and the team I'm coaching is currently going through their recruiting process now.
Okay. Yeah, that's what it was like for when I played volleyball in high school. If you really wanted to get anywhere, you really needed to be on some of those club teams. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of how it went. So what made you interested in triathlon? Let's just start out there. Like, what brought you over to the sport?
So when it was during COVID, I decided I was going to try to work on one of my weaknesses, which was endurance running. Okay. And really wasn't much else to do. And I started running. I got to like week 14 of like a marathon training. I was very bored. So my cousin said, why don't you try a triathlon? And she's done one locally. And she had a bike, and I was already like a little well-versed on the Peloton. I took a lot of the Power Zone classes because I'm a very metric-based person. So I liked those classes as it was. And then once I realized the correlation between it all, I was like, oh, this is really fun. And just riding her bike once outside, poorly fitted and all, I still had a great time. I'm like, wow, I can go fast. This is great. Mm-hmm. And I just, within a week, I found a coach on Long Island with South Shore Tri, and I was hooked. And that was it. And I started training.
Oh, that's awesome. The triathlon bikes really are cool, aren't they? When you get in that aero position and they're so light.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the best feeling.
They're so fun. I bought my first bike and it was like an inch too big, but I didn't really realize that. It was a road bike. And I didn't realize until like 3 months before my first half Ironman. And I finally was like, okay, I can't ride this bike for more than like 2 hours. I'm in so much pain. And the guy I worked with to fit it, he was awesome. And we tried everything to make it fit and just couldn't do it. So I actually had to buy another bike within 3 weeks of the race, which was a huge upgrade. And I'm obsessed with it, but tough start for me with my bikes.
Yeah. What bike did you end up getting?
The Cervelo P series.
Oh yeah.
My tri bike.
Yeah. We have my coach listens to the show, but so he'll laugh at this, but he has this like little club going that all of his athletes have Cervelo bikes, except for I started on a Cervelo and then I ended up getting a felt. So I'm kind of the redheaded stepchild of the group, but Cervelos are quite popular. That's for sure. They're good bikes too.
Yeah, it's sweet. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So did you have any experience in like swimming? I know like in lacrosse, you did some running, but, what about cycling? Do you have any background experience there?
So with cycling, I could say, I've been on a bike, but nothing competitive. But also, right before COVID hit, I realized that I wasn't going to be able to go to gym. So I got on the Peloton bandwagon. So my Peloton was probably the quickest intro to cycling I had. And again, I love the power zone classes because I could see improvement. I could see myself getting fitter. I can watch numbers and be competitive. I'm very competitive, but more so with myself. So, when you take a class like that, you're not racing other people. You're just kind of improving your own numbers. And then swimming, I grew up on the water on the South Shore of Long Island. So I can swim pretty well, but I never would go in a pool to do laps. And when I tried, I couldn't go more than 50 yards. So there was that.
We were talking about this a little bit before the show, but I had forgotten that that was similar. Like that was my experience as well. Getting into swimming was, barely swimming 25 or 50 yards and just needing to stop and take a break. And I just remember the lifeguards like looking at me like, what is this person doing? But I've forgotten that, that's really where all of us pretty much start, unless you were swimming in high school or college. A lot of people who get into triathlon are literally in that boat where you just start getting into the pool and you just work 25 yards, 50 yards at a time.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, I feel like the endurance came relatively quickly with just some practice. I don't even remember when the switch happened. I just remember it happening. And all of a sudden I could go, 800 yards and I'd be okay. And I was like, wow, okay. And then one day I realized I did a mile. I was like, whoa, like how did this all happen so quickly? And it's just that consistency. But yeah, the swim is scary. It was for me, especially in my first race. But once you get through it and, you have the, training background to fall onto and remember, it's not too bad.
Yeah. Was you just recently did a half Ironman. Was that your first race?
Yes, ever.
Oh, yes. That's so good. Actually, you're not alone in that. There's a lot of people who do have a half Ironman be their first triathlon. Which half Ironman did you do and how did it go?
I went to Atlantic City. And it was awesome. It went really well. I didn't even consider doing a sprint or Olympic. I don't know why. I think my coach was like, there's no point, if the distances are different, there's no point in really doing it. And he made me feel like there was no big deal to just do a 70.3 as my first one. But apparently when I talk to others, it is a big deal. But it truly went perfectly. I think I executed it very well. The plan he gave me was sound and I was very prepared. So I couldn't be happier with that.
Wow, that's great. Did you have like a goal going in as far as like times or anything like that?
I didn't really understand the timing, like what would be good and what would be bad. But I had this idea that maybe I could be under 6 hours, but there was at no point was I checking my watch for that. It just actually happened to happen.
Yeah.
But I don't know. For me, I was like, I didn't look at numbers. I didn't look at results. I didn't look at anybody else before I went in. I just kind of knew, all right, maybe my swim will be around 40. on the bike, I realized I was going to be under 3 hours, and I was pretty pumped about that because all my training rides were around 3 hours, but you're not going your full effort for those 3 hours training. So I didn't really think about that well. And then running, I thought I'd be, somewhere around the 2 hour. I actually thought slower, like 2 hours and 20 minutes, but I guess I was going a little faster, but I started slow, which gave me the legs for the end.
Yeah. Yeah. The race legs after the bike and the swim are something else.
It can be for sure. I felt I had gas at the end. It was like, I was amazed by, I was like, damn, I could have went faster.
Well, that's good. I know. Yeah. Did you have anything like in that race that surprised you?
I had a full blown panic attack in the swim when I got in the water. Okay. I knew it was possible. I knew that like this could happen, but I've never in my life panicked like that. In a moment that I was like, there's no escape. Like, there's no escape. You're in it. You have to figure it out. I looked for the lifeboat, but it happened to be on the other side. And I was like, okay, I'm not getting there. So I just talked myself down and continued. And once what felt like 10 minutes was probably 1 minute passed, I was good to go.
I actually have told stories of this on this podcast many times, but a lot of my first races, I had panic attacks in the water on the swim. Like I've gone through that multiple times, and then it gets easier and you don't necessarily have them as you get used to it, but it's not a fun feeling. And I know I had the same thing as you, which I think is very interesting for just kind of like life in general, as far as just anxiety and overwhelm goes. But when you're in the water and you have that kind of a panic attack, you often don't have any choice but to figure it out and keep going and moving, which I think is kind of an interesting skill.
It definitely was a strong mental challenge. I think I told myself, I'm like, you did not do all this work for a year to stop now. Like you'll crawl your way through the swim. I don't care how long it takes you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was it just like being in the wetsuit? Was it having people around you? Like what was it that you think kind of triggered that?
I think at first it was the people. I was like nervous that I had a lot of people coming up behind me and I couldn't keep up. And the competitive edge, I was like, oh my goodness, am I not ready for this? And I didn't know like some basic things, like, you could just stop swimming for a second and look around. Like, it's not a problem. Float on your back for a little bit, like doggy paddle. It's not a big deal. And I didn't really understand that. I just thought it was like, get your head in the water and go. And once I got to the side and I got myself some space, I realized that I wasn't the only one stopping and looking around. And then I talked myself down and, as long as I just kept my stride. And once I started getting back in my groove, I realized it really wasn't so bad. And, people are going to touch your feet and you're going to run into others, and people are going to be going left and right instead of north and south, and you just kind of find your way around it. But there was actually a point where it was so low tide that people were walking. So that kind of lightened things up because it was pretty comical. Sure. Yeah. So that was pretty funny.
Yeah. I had an experience like that as well, where we were going through some very, very, very shallow water. It was a weird race. But I'm curious though, as far as how did you do with sighting the buoys? Did you practice that before? How did you feel on that side of things?
So I actually had no trouble with that. I think I did practice. I went in my canal like a couple times to, test the wetsuit out and, as I was swimming, look up, but I didn't really worry about that too much, to be honest. I figured if I just followed the pack, I'd be okay. Yeah. It wasn't too difficult, at least for me.
Yeah. Good. Well, let's talk about, let's talk about what it was like coming through the finish line. Was that a really cool experience?
Yes, it was awesome. It felt really good. I was probably so emotional. I kept it together, but you just work so hard for something. And then once that comes to fruition, it's different than, lacrosse was. The only thing I can actually compare it to, which isn't as big, was the World Cup. But other than that, that emotion you feel when you finish of something you've worked towards, it's awesome. And I had my family there, and they were amazing. I saw them a good bit. And another friend of mine who I talked to getting into triathlon, and she happened to be at the same race, and I saw her a lot too. So it was great. Just an overwhelming feeling of joy. And then I immediately signed up for my next race.
Of course you did. Which race did you sign up for?
Florida in December, just another half.
Oh, nice. I'm doing another race in December as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it gets under your skin and then it just won't let go.
Yep, pretty much.
Let's talk about training. So what does your training look like for the most part? Like you don't need to go into like too much detail, but what does the load look like for your half Ironman training?
So for the most part, I really didn't lift this half Ironman training. So there was really no strength component, which is a very different way of life for me, but it was kind of a nice break. But, running two times a week during the week, like about an hour to an hour and a half each, swimming once a week, trying to get probably 2,000, 2,400 meters, give or take. And then cycling 1 to 2 times a week. And then the long runs and bikes on the weekend. So, Saturday would be a brick. So like a 3-hour bike and like a couple mile run. I think I got up to 7 total by the end. And Sunday would be my long runs, which I ended up getting up to 16. Nice. I don't know if that was why he did that, but I took it and it was fun. But the load wise, it felt like a lot. But it was so, it's like an 80-20, 80% easy, 20% difficult. So really I didn't find it to be too bad.
Yeah. So, I mean, that sounds like a 10-hour, 12-hour-ish training week. Maybe a little less.
Trying to see. I'm looking at my Strava right now because I'm just so not well versed in like hours per week.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably a little less than that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, I think that's pretty doable, an hour-ish a day for the big portions of it. And then for most of the week and then doing more of your longer training, that's totally doable.
Yeah, I definitely would say around 10 hours looking at these, putting it together.
Okay, so my next question, and the reason I asked that is the previous question is just because I love to hear the different methods that everybody uses, because working with different coaches, you see different training plans and different things. And so I'm always curious to see what other people are doing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I am so curious. And as at least my listeners know, I love nutrition. And we talk about that a lot. And so I'm really curious, did you have a nutrition strategy going into your race, or a plan? And what did that look like, at least for the race?
For the race. Okay. Yeah. So, for the race, yes, I did have a plan. I practiced it for most of my long runs, unbeknownst to me for a long time. And then I realized what I was doing once my coach, put 2 and 2 together for me. But I went with the Infinite mix. So I used Infinite Nutrition drinks for most of it. For the run, I did the swim. I had like electrolytes and a banana before. I couldn't really stomach much else. I took a gel before the bike, and then the bike, I had 3 bottles. So I think they're 230 calories each, around like 60 carbs each. And that was 3 hours, just under for the bike. And then the run, I had 2 servings of the speed blend, which was like 170 each.
Yeah.
So, and it was perfect. Like again, never cramped. I don't think I've really ever cramped in my life. I'm not much for a sweater in that respect. But no, I had so much energy. I felt like rocket fuel.
Awesome. And then what about like your nutrition as far as through training? Did you have to make any changes on that side of things?
So about a month prior to the race, sometimes I worry that I don't eat enough with as much as I do. I've struggled with that a lot. So I really wanted to make sure with something like this and the amount of work I was doing during a week, I was getting enough. So I had a history working with Renaissance periodization. It's a little bit more of for those that aren't familiar, like I think it came out of the CrossFit world a little bit. But now they have like endurance coaches, and I worked with one specifically who gave me a template to work from. So it's around like 1,500 calories, not including pre and post workout and intra workout calories. And it was mostly like making sure I hit my carbs. So, 50 grams before, 40 grams after, 30 the rest of the day. So I was at like 170 carbs, 20 grams of protein per meal. So it was around my like lean body mass and protein, and just kept fats like relatively low. And it was great. It was super easy. And I tried to eat clean. I cut alcohol out like a couple of weeks prior to the race. Not that I drink much, but beer here and there doesn't hurt. And then 4 days before the race, 4 days, 3 days, I bumped it up to like 400 grams of carbs for the 2 days prior. And that was awesome. Very fun.
Yes. Out of just a follow-up question on that, were you feeling like the 1,500 calories was enough, or do you feel like you weren't quite eating enough with that 1,500 calories?
So I did weigh myself like 3 times a week, and I wasn't gaining or losing any weight. Okay. So I felt really good with that. And it probably wasn't perfect. I'm not a perfectionist, and I don't think anybody expects that. When it comes to nutrition, you just do your best.
Yes.
So, I might have missed a few things, and I'm sure I had some ice cream here and there that was not counted. But, for the most part, I think that was enough. Yeah. If anything, I ate more than that, but I know at least I hit that. That was more of the goal.
Okay. That's what I was curious about. That's awesome. Okay. Awesome. That's good. Did you have anything else you wanted to mention on that nutrition or for either the race or for daily nutrition?
No, I think, cool. It was a really great plan, and I'm probably going to copy it over again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It sounds solid to me. It sounds like it worked really well for you. And that's, I think, the biggest takeaway is that, and the reason why I wanted to ask about it is because so many people do different things, but it's really important to try as like it all out in training and figure out what works for you. And then sometimes what people experience is something different on race day, and what they've trained with didn't really work for them on race day, which there's a million different reasons for that. But you just never know. It's nice when it all tends to come together and work nicely.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm really lucky that my first race went as well as it did. And, I heard the horror stories about like gut issues on the racing and what you eat and what you drink. And I don't know. I make sure I'm always drinking water. I'm very hydrated, and I have a Whoop, which is like my godsend. Okay. So that really keeps me in check too with my hydration, because it affects my recovery score tremendously. Yeah. So I drink a lot of water. That's
a really good tool to use. Anything that can help you figure out whether or not you're hydrated enough. I think that's one of the biggest issues that the athletes have, is actually staying hydrated.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. Okay. So you had quite the career in lacrosse. Are there some lessons that you learned while both playing and coaching that you're seeing showing up just with triathlon? I know this was kind of for fun, but I'm curious if you saw anything come up between those two.
I think I am a little more level-headed now when it comes to like just my thought process and approach to training. I think when I was in college, and mostly probably post-college with US, I probably was way overboard in my hours on a week, and the way I approach things, like more is more. And once I got probably past that mental piece, and I started training like triathlon, and even before I picked up triathlon and I just stopped playing lacrosse, I realized that more is not more. Quality over quantity is a much bigger aspect. And I try to, like, now, especially with the girls I coach, express that to them. Make sure you take days off, make sure you're hydrating, you're drinking, you're eating the right things. And, you got to work hard and you got to do all the prep work, but you don't have to kill yourself, because it doesn't always add up. And I'm probably in better shape now, arguably, than I was back then, with all that being said.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm with you on that. I think the quality over quantity is something that is hard to drill into people because it's really I think I see it a lot more in endurance sports than I do anywhere else, but there's a tendency to just want to do as much and squeeze as much into the week as you possibly can. But the resting and then also just getting in quality time versus just a bunch of quantity that just breaks you down. It's really where the gold is in those quality sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we try to express that, like, as a coach, like, you're here for an hour, like, get something out of it. If you're going to show up and you want to be here, don't, for lack of a better term, half-ass it and get nothing out of it. So, I know in college, we talked about that a lot, because it can be super redundant when you're going to practice every day. And, you may not be seeing another team for like 3 months, and it's keeping your eyes on the bigger picture, which I can definitely relate to triathlon, at least. And I think that I'm better focused on that now than I probably ever was, because, the end game you just got to remember it. And I'm mentally stronger, I think now as well, just in so many different ways. But I try to just, at least with my club girls, I tell them all the time, like, the clock is ticking. Make sure you're doing everything you can to be prepared, because like in Ironman, especially if you show up unprepared, it will not go well. So it's a good lesson to know. I refuse to put myself in that situation, basically. That's kind of almost like a driving force for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Triathlon it can definitely be a very not forgiving sport. That's for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Big time.
Yeah. I've learned that one the hard way. I feel like. Awesome. Okay. So what, I have a couple more questions for you. Which of the three disciplines do you like the most, so which of the three do you like the most? And then which one do you like the least?
So I think I have to say I like cycling the most. I might just be because it's my best, I think, of the three. I've seen, I just love the feeling of pushing it on the bike. I don't know what it is, but it's more bearable than a run, I guess, when you're really pushing it. Granted, Long Island's super flat, so I haven't had to worry about hills yet, but at least for me, I find it so fun. I love to go fast, and just that feeling of going fast is super addicting. I'd probably say swimming's the least. Again, it's my worst discipline, so it definitely carries a trend here. But I do enjoy the swim. Like, I think it's very therapeutic. So I do like that. But it's definitely my least favorite.
Yeah. Well, I would agree with you there. In the same boat. There's nothing better than a solid bike ride. Like, you get to explore so much more. I also sort of wonder in triathlon if just the running sucks as much as it does, just for I guess I'm speaking for myself, but I know that there's other people who love the run, but I feel like the bike is just, you go so fast, like the miles go by so quickly, and then you get to the run and it's just like that first mile and the second mile just takes so long to get there. Just maybe that's my own personal experience.
I can at least say with the run, there's days where you just feel like an 8:30 pace feels like a 10:30, and you're flying and it's easy. I'll take that any day over a bike. But when I get on the bike, it always feels the same. Like, it doesn't feel like a run. Some days you're dragging lead, and some days you're flying like a bird. And it's so inconsistent that you just don't know what you're going to get sometimes. And it takes a lot of mental prep to get through those hard days. And I've never found that on the bike.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. And it also takes, I think, some mental fortitude to not just be like, well, I'm throwing in the towel. Everything is awful. I'm never doing this again.
So true.
Clearly,
some days.
Clearly I'm a terrible runner. I don't know what I'm doing. Awesome. So you have another half coming up. Do you have any other goals in triathlon?
I mean, it's funny because we were briefly speaking earlier about getting faster on the run, and I would love to, now that I know where I fell in this last race, like, I want to be able to push myself a little bit harder in this next one. Like, if I can finish in the top 10, that'd be pretty cool. I don't know quite exactly what that takes. I have to have my coach plug some numbers, but I imagine I need to be faster on the run. So I think we're going to have to work on that. But, I definitely don't want to finish it feeling as easy as I did this last one. I want to be a little bit more tired, and I think I have more to give. So all in all, I think that's what I would like to improve. I think big picture will be, top 10, top 8, and start to chip away. But I think the running will be the hardest part.
Are you interested in doing a full?
Yes, I am. I think next year. I'm trying to play that out as to which one. There's a lot of options.
Oh, there's
and
tons.
I'm trying to play to my strengths. But I mean, when I first texted my coach after my race, I'm like, what do you think about Florida? He immediately started plugging the numbers in for November 6th, full Ironman. And he's like, you could do it. I'm like, no. Take it a step back here, sir. He was so excited.
Yes.
But I was like, no, thank you. Another half. We'll do it next year. So yeah, I am thinking of like maybe Maryland's or something flat and fast. That's not maybe it's not too far. I think that would only really be Maryland or maybe California. I know Sacramento has one. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, they do. It's over on my side of the world.
Yep.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about? Just anything on triathlon that you found to be something that you didn't know that you learned, or anything kind of on the fun side?
Yeah, I mean, I will at least say, especially after finishing this first race, it really, what I missed the most, I think, is being a part of like a team.
Oh,
and I think because, I actually wore, my kit was the Betty Designs, right?
Yeah.
And I have no affiliation with them other than I think it's a sweet design and a great brand. And so many people would come up to you and just say, hey, like, great kit, like, go Betty. And like, you'd hear them on the course, and it was like being a part of a team that you didn't even sign up for. And so I know that looking forward, I'm trying to find maybe a team to like represent or be a part of a bigger group. So I signed up for like a local tri club around here. Because my coach, he has a group, but it's not very like team oriented. It's just kind of, he coaches in the individual athletes. At least that's the kind of grasp I'm getting from it right now. So I definitely, I would tell anybody who's new to try to find like a group of people, and, just kind of put yourself out there in a local club that you can get around and be with people. Because the support that I saw on the race, I was just like, okay, I definitely want to be a part of something like that. Like, I'm just very team oriented, that I think that would be pretty awesome.
That's a really good point, because triathlon in many ways can be pretty isolating, I think, because you do so much of your training. Well, you have the potential to do the majority of your training by yourself. And that actually was one thing that my coach and I are trying to kind of fix-ish in my training. I mean, with my swim, I get to go swim with the swim team, which is fun. And it's great because it pushes me to have to keep up with the people who are faster, which is a great thing. But, on the bike, it's majority either by myself on the trainer or, pretty much by myself out somewhere. But there's a lot of people who do train with other people on the bike ride. I just haven't necessarily found those people, but a tri club would potentially be a really great place to start. Yeah.
It definitely would probably take a balance, because I'm sure I'm going to have workouts where I have my own metrics to hit.
Yes.
But at least like if I have, they're doing a fun 5K, you go join them, or they're doing a long distance run where it doesn't matter what your pace is. You have people to run with. Because, I'm definitely a lone wolf in this department. So I look forward to that.
Totally. Do you feel like, you started out this podcast saying that you got into triathlon because, it was COVID and we didn't have a whole lot to do for a good portion of the time. Do you feel like triathlon helped you get through some of the stresses of the last, whatever it is, 18 months or so? Do you feel like it helped you get through that a little bit better with like a goal?
Maybe in certain ways. I feel like I definitely know I was very fortunate, and my family's blessed that we weren't really affected too much by COVID. So we're really lucky in that respect. I definitely look to fitness to like take up some of my free time. So I think it helped, just keep me motivated on something for sure. It was like a blessing in disguise in a way, just, doing that marathon or the marathon training and picking up triathlon. Cause I don't know if I ever would have came up against it otherwise.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's always a friend or a cousin or somebody that's like, hey, you should try this.
Listen, it's all it takes.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
And you just get anybody to see, like I have one of my players went to Kona to support somebody else, and they're like immediately on that finish line, like, I'm going to do an Ironman. And she was like 12. And I think that's awesome. And sometimes it just takes someone that that can push you in the right direction. And I think it's a great sport. Like, I love it. I think for me personally, and health wise, it's a super, I think it's easy on your body, just like 3 disciplines. You get all 3. You're not just running. You get to swim, which is great for your body, and biking's not too hard on any specific joints. So, I beat myself up for 20 years playing lacrosse. That this is like a breath of fresh air.
Wow, that's a great different perspective. I like that. That's awesome. Okay. Well, if listeners want to find you, can they find you on social media?
Yeah. So my full name is my personal Instagram, so at Danielle Etrasco. And then I actually have another triathlon one that's at She's Going to Try, TRI. But that's what I'm just kind of picking up and just having some fun with. It wasn't really anything to that other than nobody knows I'm doing this. So I'm going to make this account and kind of keep myself accountable. And now people are starting to follow. So
that's so fun.
We'll see where that goes. But I like it a lot because I don't follow anybody else except triathlon individuals. So now it's like whenever I wake up in the morning, if I'm like not feeling motivated, I go onto that Instagram and I just scroll through. I'm like, holy, look at these people, get your butt to the gym.
Yes.
So it's a really nice, I would tell anybody to do that because social media can be debilitating at times, with the world that we live in. So if you can have something positive to look at, that's only inspirational accounts, I think that's really beneficial.
I think that's the majority of my Instagram is all people who are working as hard or harder than I am. And so I'm usually like, well, if you don't get up, they're going to beat you at the next race. So
right. Exactly.
Oh, Danielle, this was awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was a great time.
Okay, well, and that is our episode for now. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to follow Wisp Sports on all social media channels, and also make sure to share this episode with anyone you think may love it. We would also really appreciate a review. Either give us a rating or leave a comment. It just helps get this podcast out to more people. You can also follow me at Dr. Kirstin on Facebook and Instagram and drkirstin.com. If you'd like to reach us with any comments or questions about this episode, you can at info@wispsports.com or come find us on social media and leave a direct message. Thank you so much for listening, and I will be back next week. Take care.